You can call it an audiogram. You could call it a soundbite. Or maybe you just want to call it an anchor video. In this tutorial, I want to show you how you can promote your podcast on social media using the videos you can create with Anchor. I hope you have time. Stay tuned. That's what's coming up right now. Hi guys, Eileen Smith here, and a lot of times we want to get people who are on our other social networks interested in listening to our podcast. So one of the ways you can do that is by creating a visual element, and we're going to use Anchor, but there's a few other tools that you can use out there to create this visual element. So let's start off with Anchor. The first thing you want to do is to create an episode. So we're going to upload. I've already recorded the audio, and this is going to be on my free podcast host. So I need to have the MP3 file. Let's get that. And now we'll save this as an episode. Now, before I do that, I'm just going to fill in all the details. Now, for this episode, we're going to keep it limited to 2 minutes. Now, I know a lot of folks said, well, I can't find an episode that's shorter than 3 minutes because that's the limit for this transcription. But you got to remember, think of it as if you were actually listening or seeing this on social media. Folks do not spend a lot of time consuming sound bites on social media. So 3 minutes is probably too long in itself, but limited. In this case, I'm doing an intro. So this would be like my episode 0. Or you could just, do a segue to say what's coming up and let folks know what will be happening in the next episode. So it's okay to have a short episode. It makes people get interested in what you have to say. You don't necessarily want them to listen to a full episode. It's basically a teaser. All right. So in this case, I am going to upload a custom image. I already started one, and let's see where we can find that. All right. And if I was to zoom that, would just get cut off on the ends. So we don't want to zoom it because I've already made it a square image. So there you go. And I've had publishing options here. You see where it says advanced publish settings. I don't want this to publish everywhere. I only have this show over on Anchor. All right. So then I could also save it as a draft or schedule it for later. But we're just going to go ahead and publish this episode right now so we can get to the transcription. Right. So now that we have that episode there, we have to go over to create video. You see that option? You go over to those 3 dots, and Anchor's done a great thing by letting you know when you see this little camera or video icon there that lets you know that you can create a video. So they give you a little explanation, but you don't have to read that because you're going to get the instructions from yours truly. So let's give it a chance to transcribe the audio, and we'll come right back. So Anchor has finished with the transcription. Now, as someone who's been doing this for quite some time over on YouTube, I have to say, considering that this is relatively new, Anchor has done a fair job. And one of the tips that I would like to give you to make sure that your transcriptions come out right is to try to alliterate more. You know, this may not be the way you talk on every episode, but just as I'm doing now, I'm making sure that I am using alliteration. So we see they already made a mistake. You know, they have to fix that. So let's get that typed in. Now I see a couple of other minor mistakes here, and I'm going to go ahead and fix those. So guys, I just want you to think about this. Just look at this long block of text. And I got to be honest with you, I am not sure that people will listen as they're seeing this go by. I think you may even want to keep it at 30 seconds or something like that if you're posting on Twitter or Facebook. But that's just my opinion. You have to tweak it for your audience. And I do want to make this a capital since it's the first thing. I would not worry about correcting all of the punctuation, but since that's the first word of this whole thing, I think it makes sense to go ahead and edit that. And of course, we want to make sure we capitalize our name of our show here, and just so people will know what that is. Okay, so now we're going to save it and generate the video. Okay, we get some choices here. We can choose the anchor's colors that they already have here, or you can choose your own colors. Now, I need to go and get the hex colors for free podcast host. So stay right there. So I've added in those hex colors, and guys, I gotta admit, it's not bad at all. So let's just go ahead and click that. Save and generate video. Wow, our video is done. So you see we have 3 different options here on sizes. So let's just really quickly.
My name is Eileen Smith, and I'm so glad you're able to join me today for this episode of Free Podcast Host. On this show,
Okay, and so you see how it made a lot of sense for me to capitalize that first letter there, but not necessarily go in and adding all the punctuation and capitalizing each sentence. Of course, the name of the show and my name. Other than that, I wouldn't waste too much time with all of the punctuation. So let's download a wide, because I think Twitter is probably the first place that I want to post this. So you'll see what happens once you click on the download button is that it'll open up in a separate window. So there you go. You just click that download button. And if you're not sure where the file is going to be downloaded, and it's important to note here that the file name is pretty erroneous. So click on those 3 dots if you're on a Mac. And I always say show in Finder, then that lets me know which folder it's been saved in, and I go immediately and change the name. So let's go ahead and upload that to Twitter. Now, Twitter automatically tries to get you to trim the video, but we don't want to do that. We want to play the whole thing. And we'll say done, and we see here that Twitter has it the whole 2 minutes. So I'm just going to now compose the rest of my tweet, because I don't want to just post the video. I also want to give people the link so that they can get over to the podcast. So now I have my tweet all composed. You know, I tell people that the show is over on Anchor, and I add a hashtag. I could add a couple more hashtags, but just for the benefit of this video, I'll just go ahead now and tweet it out. And now I can make this my pinned tweet. All right. We'll keep that up at the top of Twitter. Eileen Smith, and I'm so glad you're able to join me today. Be sure to check out the other Anchor tutorials that I have here, and subscribe if you want more content like this. And if you want exclusive content, be sure to check out my Patreon. That's patreon.com. Hey, patreon.com/Eileen. And thanks so much for joining today. I see I have a couple of my friends already here. But before I go over to the chat, I also want to share with you what happens on your phone. Because we've already generated the videos, let's take a look. Hopefully we get the right screen share up here. Yay, we did. Okay. So now I'm on the free podcast host account and I want to go to my profile. That's where I'm at. And at the top of the profile, there's a bell at the top right. Now, because I've already checked this, you don't see it, but there would be a red dot there, which is a notification that you have something on that notifications tab. But here, even though I generated it on the desktop, it's letting me know that it's finished generating my video and I can download it here on the phone. So since I already did the square one for Twitter, I'll do the other shape, the square, I already did the rectangle one for Twitter. Then I'll just do the square one. And actually it's done already. Okay. And so here I can go ahead now, if I want to go ahead and share that on Facebook or Instagram. It's up to you, wherever you want to share it. For now, I'll just save it onto my phone so that I have it there. Now, you also have that option with an Anchor to share it as a long shaped video. Now, I'm not sure where you're going to share that at, but I wouldn't share it in a story because it's too long. Now, if you're going to share it in a story, you make an 11-second or 15, depending upon which of our wonderful social media apps you're going to share it on. You make the story that length. Okay. So that you make the video that length so that it's appropriate for the stories, depending on where you're sharing it. How you doing, Carlos and Beauty? Hey. All right. So let's, just say hi to everybody that's in the chat for now. Let's make sure we share the right thing here. And I figured out the way to share the right screen is to minimize everything. I don't know why I never thought of that before. And Tish was the first one here having her hashtag Eileen Fun. And by the way, this is hashtag Super Cute Saturday, even though I cheated a little because I got my hair done the other day. Carlos from the Lounge Network is here. Larry Snow from LarrySnow.me. And then the Nightbot has joined us with his instructions, or her instructions, I'm sorry. She introduces herself and lets you know that it's her, Miss Eileen's Nightbot. And Tish, thanks. I'm glad you like the colors. And also, the Nightbot is turned up to come on every 19 minutes. And I was going to turn her down, but I decided to just leave it there because I changed the messaging instead. And now that, we've got those replays, it will show up if anybody's actually watching the live replay. The video chat replay, I meant to say. And Beauty, great. And this feature is very anticipated. Yeah, actually, this was a feature that was available in 2.0, in Anchor 2.0, but they bought it back. And there's a lot of things that they said that they were going to bring back from 2.0, but in a way, I'm glad they bought this one back first, because this is, like I said, a way for people to not think so much about the app and being tied to the app, but to use this as a promotional tool. So you'll say to me, well, what about if I'm not even using Anchor? Well, hey, it's free. Sign up, upload your little promo audio. All right. Could be just whatever you use as the intro to your podcast. All right. And then create that video. What do you got to lose? You probably sign up for 50 social media accounts a month anyway, so why not go ahead and sign up for Anchor? And then, like I said, this is also very helpful for you to promote on all those different platforms. Now, I also want to remind folks, because sometimes people that don't really know that much about podcasting get a little confused. When people are viewing that video, consuming it wherever, if they're even just seeing it in the stream, that does not count as a download to your podcast. You've taken your audio file, uploaded it to Anchor or recorded it on Anchor. Anchor has created a video, which is a totally separate media file. Has nothing to do with your podcast. Only it serves to promote your podcast. So that's why I say keep it short. Because when people see those videos, the very first few times people see them, they're excited. They're like, oh, what's that? What's that person doing? But then if you're going to be doing it every week or every day, people are like, oh God, they're promoting their podcast again. It just all depends upon your audience, your network. If you've got thousands and thousands of followers on Twitter, the chances are that they're not going to see it. You could post it every day or once a week for months, and some of your followers may not see it. Or depending upon what your topic is, that's how you get their attention, because they're going to see that little wavy line, and that's going to make their eye automatically, even if they don't want to look. But it's your content, what you're saying, that's going to keep them like, okay, this is worth it. Let me turn on the audio, because remember, Twitter is automatically muted, right? So let me unmute. Facebook, same way. And let me see what this is about. So that's why it's great to have something that's eye-catching. You don't want to just waste it every time you have an episode to make that, because, like I said, it's probably not, depending upon how often you publish. If you only publish once a week, then that's great. But a lot of times folks that have anchor shows, they publish every day because it's so easy, right? And there are some other apps that you can make these with. And let's see if we have any questions that have come in. Kwan is here. Hi, Kwan. Thanks for coming. This is your first time here, Kwan. So this is a great time for me to remind everybody to go over to, like right now, I'm on Tish's comment there, and you see those 3 dots. Now this counts for everybody. Even if you're watching this in the replay, you can still see those 3 dots, and then you go to the person's channel and go ahead and, connect with them, find out what they're about, subscribe to their channel and all of that. Okay. So, all right. And Kwan said, Facts Media Global thanks you and sends positive energy your way. I receive your positive energy. Mr. Kwan, I so much appreciate you for being here. Oh, and Beauty and Carlos haven't seen each other in a while. Beauty, you got to come hang out with us on Facebook, because if you're on Facebook, you see Carlos in your timeline regularly. And Tish is saying how she loves it. So it is awesome. And I know that Carlos has uploaded some of his, he's using repurposing. It's brilliant idea. Larry has done the same thing. Repurpose that content. And he's taken some of his past live streams and uploaded them onto Anchor, because Anchor will import an RSS feed. So if you've got an RSS feed somewhere, a lot of times people will have like a podcast they started and then they lost interest in it, and it's just sitting there not doing anything. Carlos says he's always live. Miss him so much. One of the finest I ever met on that bee place. So yeah, Carlos does a lot of live. In fact, just about everybody that's in the chat right now are big time live streamers. So yeah, yours truly. And but I also love podcasting. And I just think that using that, I'll call it an audiogram. Of course, I just showed you Anchor videos, but that's just their version of an audiogram. And Buzzsprout is one that I showed a detailed tutorial to my folks over on Patreon. My patrons over on Patreon got a chance to see the really detailed tutorial of how I created an intro video for, I'll mention another live platform, for Twitch. Because when I use this software that I'm using right now, which is EcammLive, and link is in the description. When I use EcammLive and you go live on Twitch, well, I think any software you use to go live on Twitch, there's a delay. There's a little bit of a delay, and you don't know how long that delay is. So what I did was I was using Buzzsprout because the free podcast host was a project I was working on. And one of the hosts that I checked out was Buzzsprout. And they have something that's called a soundbite, but it's the same thing. It doesn't look like Anchor's, has a totally different look. In fact, I kind of like the way the one on Buzzsprout looks even better. However, the downside with the one on Buzzsprout is that you have to post it to Facebook. You can't just download it. They create the soundbite for you, and there's no audio, there's no text transcription, okay? They create the soundbite for you, and so it does have those waves that get people's attention, but there's no transcript, which is a plus for Anchor, right? So, okay, when you use Buzzsprout, you have to post it to Facebook. Now, most of us who are prolific with Facebook have like a little test group, and that's what I have. I have a test Facebook group. And thank God I have that, because that's where I posted it. Oh, no, you know what? I take that back. I had to post it on a page. It doesn't work with groups on Buzzsprout. I had to post it on a page, and I have an old Facebook page. My daughter has the fashion site that she used to run. I don't even know when the last time she went to that site. So anyway, I used that, but I just downloaded the file immediately. But it is a very attractive audiogram. And what's really ironic, I showed you guys how to set the colors, your custom colors on the Anchor one, but just so happens, ironically, the Buzzsprout colors are the same as the free podcast host colors. So the anagram or the audiogram had that look as if it actually was my own custom. Now there's a couple of other sites that you can make these on. So for people that are like, well, I don't want to bother with Anchor. I know there's somebody out there saying it. I know. I hear it. If that's you right now watching this video and you don't want to be bothered with Anchor, you need to sign up for my Patreon, because my patrons will see some other solutions that are also free. And I'll have those videos up for those guys. Or you can sign up for my course, because I will have an Anchor course. But within the Anchor course, I also am going to talk about alternatives to some of the things on Anchor. But this particular feature of Anchor gets a big thumbs up because of the transcription part of it. And because I'm so glad that they were smart enough to limit it to the 3 minutes. And honestly, I actually think 3 minutes is too long, because just think of yourself when you're on Facebook or you're on Twitter and you see this audiogram go by. You probably will pay attention to it for a little while, but you're probably not going to sit there for minutes and minutes on end watching an audiogram. You're just not. Like the first time, yes, it's exciting. By the 7th or 8th time, you're like, okay, yeah, promoting a podcast. That's why it's important that when you share that out, that you share the link back to your station or wherever it is that you want people to go. Like for me, I have free podcast hosts on Anchor, but I also have it on Spreaker. So if I wanted to, I could promote the Spreaker version, because I get really good stats from Spreaker, and that may be the one that I use to put up into iTunes. And so whenever I decide to do that, I could be promoting that version of the podcast. So right now, free podcast host is only on Anchor as well as Spreaker. It's not in iTunes. And it's okay. When I'm ready, I'll put it up there. So This is why I like to have this wonderful dialogue with you guys and find out your questions and all that. In fact, it was a question that came in on YouTube about the transcriptions and so now I can answer this young lady. Let me bring that up so you can see I'm not making it up. All right. So yeah, just got to share the right screen. I'll come back to the chat in a minute, but here we go. Just want you guys to see this. How do you use the new transcription feature that came from Howard? Best 40 years of my life. I guess she dedicated her video to someone named Howard. That's amazing. That's what love will do for you. Okay. So this is the beauty of that, right? So hang on. Let me get you guys comments and things up there. There you go. Okay. Let me make that bigger. The chat. Okay. Yeah. Beauty. I saw that Carlos, can you share your anchor name? The Lounge Network. My software supports Twitch comments on screen. I do believe Carlos is Carlos Phoenix. Yeah, okay, there it is. It is Carlos Phoenix. And Debonair live streams. Hello, Debonair. How are you? I found your channel and love your work. Oh, that is so sweet of you. Thank you so much. And that reminds me to, remind everybody, share this out on Twitter. Give it a thumbs up and all that good stuff. I use Apple Clips for my audio videogram. Apple Clips is another great way to do it. Now on Lounge, Carlos and Alfredo. Hi, Alfredo. A question for you, Carlos, because I was using Apple Clips for a while. And then I don't know. I think it got too complicated for me. There is just so many things you can do with it that I found myself going down rabbit holes. It's one of those apps and in fact, I did a video for my patrons on how to use. So those of you who are on my patrons on Patreon, don't forget to go back and look at some of those past patron only tutorials that I have there, and Apple Clips is one of them. I reviewed that app when it first came out about a year ago, and it had to be in the spring though, because I remember that I was taking pictures over across the street where Mr. Rodney had the palm trees and the beautiful garden and stuff out there. And so I like the fact that, hey, Carla joined us too. I like the fact that Anchor is kind of simple. Like you just going there to make that video. That's all you're going to be doing is making the video. You make the audio and then you make the video. Whereas Apple Clips, you can do so many things. They've got background music in there that you can add as well. And so it is a fun app though. It's definitely, if they had a social aspect to that Apple Clips, that would rival a lot of the social networks that we have out, but there's no social aspect to it. You can make things to share on social, but you can't interact and engage with other users inside of the app. That's the only thing that app is lacking. But Apple Clips is pretty cool. Now, of course, it's only for folks who have iOS. And I think you have to have iPhone 5 and up. I don't think it works if you have an older iPhone. So, yeah, but thanks for bringing that up, Carlos, because that reminds me, maybe I will go in there and make some audiograms. And I just want you guys to see that Carla Jenkins, friend to the show, and also Alfredo Tigalo, big time friend to the show, Mr. Snow with the $10 super chat. Wow, great timing, right when thank you so much, Larry. I really appreciate you. You're awesome. Oh, he said, thanks for always motivating me. It's a social app. It's not meant to be live. Oh yeah. I get it. I understand it's for a different purpose. But I think that's one reason why not that many people use it, and not that many people, because you got all these bells and whistles inside of especially Snapchat and Instagram. So people are stuck in those apps. And even like last night, I did a Facebook. I went live in the Work and Focus group on Facebook, and there were so many filters there, guys. Alfredo can tell you he was there. I didn't even really talk about anything. I just went through the filters. And there are so many filters. They've got even more filters than Snapchat. Not as great. The filters aren't as great as Snapchat, but they've got, like Star Wars. And I was the leprechaun, which was great because, by the way, happy St. Patrick's Day. And I read the transaction in Anchor is disabled right now. Transaction. I'm not sure what you mean by transaction. When you say the transaction in Anchor is disabled, I don't even know what a transaction is. So I think that might be a typo. And especially if you're on your phone, because that phone will autocorrect what you were trying to say. And now I can tell you what's not working in Anchor right now as of March 17th, 2018. A much beloved feature, which is to be able to echo each other's content. That is disabled. So that could be what you're talking about, Debonair live streams. So they say it's coming back, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Transcription. No, it's not. Okay, Debonair, what you need to do is watch the beginning of this video because I showed exactly how to do it. And I showed how to do it on desktop, but you can also do it on your phone. But I thought it was better to show it on desktop because desktop, first of all, the screen's bigger, but you can do it on your phone and you can edit that transcription on your phone. And it's just, to me, it's just so tedious to be in there. But on desktop, it's, hey, you're typing on your desktop. Why do it on your phone? Unless, of course, if you're out and about, you're nowhere near your computer, then you're going to want to do it on your phone. Okay. However, if you got a computer, go ahead and do it on a computer because it's going to be way easier and you're going to get other options because on the phone, I don't think you can put in your own custom colors. Now, if you can, do you have your custom colors on your phone? I didn't have mine when I was creating that video this morning. I literally had to, I'll tell you what I did, my little workaround, my little hack. I opened my logo image in PicMonkey. And I used the eyedropper tool in PicMonkey and grabbed the hex numbers and wrote them down. Of course, I have them written down somewhere on this computer, but I don't remember where they are. So I just wanted to make the video and get the video, and you'll see that I'm able to fill in 2 hex colors. And let me show you what that looks like on Twitter, what the video ended up looking like on Twitter. Let's do that since you are here now. And I'm hoping that you'll go back and watch the beginning of the video, but just in case, show you what it looks like. We always got to make sure that we minimize the screens. And thanks again, Larry, for the super chat as I'm thinking about it, as I'm minimizing that window. Okay, so now this here is I'll just pop out that tweet so you can see it. So there's the transcription right there. And like I said, the colors are the same as the logo. My logo is it's a purple and an orange color, which just so happened to be not too bad to try to read, that orange. All right. So there was actually, when you said that it was disabled, that was probably last week when somebody told you that, because it just came back 3 days ago, I want to say. 2 or 3 days ago. So I knew that, I was going to talk about it, but then I got a question about it on my YouTube channel. So I'm like, gee whiz, guess I'll have to figure out what I'm going to be doing on my video this weekend. And in fact, just for those of you who are my YouTube buddies and you follow me on my YouTube journey to 1 million plus views, right now, my #1 video on YouTube is an Anchor tutorial, which I was kind of shocked when I saw that on my YouTube stats the other day. I was like, huh? When did that happen? It's always been a YouTube, how to edit your YouTube videos tutorial, because a lot of people don't know they can trim off the beginnings or the ends of their video. And so I did a tutorial about that about 2 years ago, and that's been my #1 video for the last 2 years. until last month. And hence, this is why I said, there was a lot of folks who were a little upset with Anchor and the fact that they decided to kind of switch gears a little from being like social audio into being more of a podcasting focus. And, I said to myself, I don't know if the Anchor is going to be too upset about all the folks that are upset about that, because there's such a huge influx of new users coming into the app now that they are focused on podcasting, that they probably won't be too upset about the folks that they lose that don't want to go with the podcasting. That's just my opinion. I totally did not hear anything like that from Anchor. I just been around the podcasting space long enough to know. Now, of course, we'll all be happy when Anchor comes out with a business model. And I'm just thinking that they're smart enough to have one. They just haven't told us, and they don't have to, because, hey, it's their business. So always download your content. And so the revamp was necessary. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you don't have to convince me. You preach it to the choir here. Everybody, I think, in the chat probably knows. It's just there was some other people that were disgruntled. And you know what? Because I mentioned downloading your content, I want to make sure I show you guys how to do that. Because in the video, I show how to upload content and then make your video and download the video. But what's even more important for folks that are only using the app to create content, right? You need to be able to download that content after the fact. So let me get the screen share ready I think I have to go to my home page. All right. So let me do that first. I'm trying to be more organized and have the screen share ready for you before I actually start sharing. So this time, yay, I did it. Okay. So when you're someone remember I told you guys earlier that I am not publishing this podcast on iTunes yet. So Anchor is encouraging me. Don't just publish it on Anchor. That's what this purple box says. Go ahead and distribute it everywhere. And I run it up on iTunes, but I'm not putting it on iTunes, not through Anchor anyway. But my other podcast, which is the Anchor Show, which is the one that most folks know me for. Okay, that's anchor.fm/Eileen. That one is on iTunes, but it's okay because it's a show about Anchor. So, which I will probably download some of this content over there. So here's where your episodes are listed. And also you can go to your profile page. And here's another place where all your episodes are listed. Okay. So you could go through if you wanted to see what some of the things that I was talking about. I'm not sure why some of the titles are missing, but it's okay. That's just part of the transition. It's okay. I'm not worrying about it. I told you guys why, right? Because I already have this content on Spreaker. So let's just go back over to the page where we would go ahead and look at downloading the content. Here's the choices that you have.
You wanted me to go with you. You're not doing what you said you were doing. So come on, let's go so we can get back for 12.
Okay. All right, guys. So let's just do this real quickly so we can because I have some other stuff to do here. Okay. No, it just keeps saying delete. I don't want to delete. I know where we have to go. I'm sorry. We go to where it has the history. And this is where you click on the three dots. See, these are the published episodes. You go to the three dots and then the download audio file. So that's where you would download to your computer. All right. Well, in that case, we don't have to download it because I just uploaded it from my computer. So with that, guys, thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you. Remember, there's 2 ways that you can contact me. If you want to get in touch with me via email, you're going to go to eileensmith.com/contact. And if you want to leave me a voicemail outside of Anchor, you're going to go to eileensmith.com/voicemail. And I thank you so much for joining me today. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.